Let me tell you about something messed up that happened to me a couple years ago. I don't talk about it much, not because I'm scared or anything, but because most people either wouldn't believe me or they'd just say, "Dude, that's what you get for going on the dark web." But it's stuck in my head like a bad dream I can't shake. So I figured, maybe it's time to put it all out there. This was back in 2021. I was 22, living in this quiet little town called Maple Hollow, tucked in the middle of nowhere in Minnesota. Nothing exciting ever really happened there. It's one of those places where you know the same 10 people at the grocery store and everyone waves even if they don't know your name. I was always kinda introverted. I didn't party, didn't do much outside of work. I worked the night shift at a local gas station, mostly cleaning, refilling shelves, dealing with the occasional drunk guy looking for chips at 2 a.m. On my nights off, I'd sit in my room gaming or watching weird stuff online. That's how all this started. One night I stumbled into a deep web forum someone had mentioned on a Reddit thread. It was called the Hollow Board. The thread had long been deleted, but I had the URL saved. I'd always been curious about the deep web, not the illegal side or anything, just the strange parts. Hidden blogs, chat rooms, forgotten pages, that kind of thing. Curiosity can be a dangerous thing. The site looked like it hadn't been updated in years. Just a black screen with a bunch of plain blue hyperlinks. No logos, no menus, nothing fancy. Just links. Some had names like Reflection Room or Library of Echoes, but most were just strings of letters and numbers. I clicked on a bunch of them and most didn't load, probably dead links or sites that had been taken down. But one of them did load. It brought me to a bare-bones chat room. No title, no instructions, just a blank chat log and a list of 3 random usernames in the room. Mine had automatically generated something like user3421. The others were similar, just gibberish, no profile pictures or anything. I scrolled through the chat history. There were a few old messages in a language I didn't recognize, maybe Russian or something more obscure. Then there were a few in English, just basic stuff like, "Is this live? Anyone here? Got a link?" One of the users was still active, though. Before I could type anything, a message popped up from them. "Yo," I hesitated, then typed back. "Yo, what a looking for?" they asked. "Not sure, TBH. Just exploring," I said. They replied almost instantly. "First time?" "Yeah, lol. You want a link?" I paused. My fingers hovered over the keyboard. I knew I probably shouldn't say yes, but I did. "Sure." They dropped a link right after that. No warning. No explanation. Just a weird string of characters and mod onion at the end. Then they left the chat. I clicked the link. It took a while to load. First a black screen. Then a small white text box appeared at the bottom. A spinning circle showed up in the center like it was buffering. Then came the video. It wasn't a video player exactly. There were no pause buttons, no volume, no controls at all. Just a grainy black and white live stream. Or maybe it was pre-recorded. I couldn't tell. The footage showed a small, dimly lit room. It looked like a basement. Unfinished walls, concrete floor, a single bare bulb swinging slightly from the ceiling. In the middle of the room sat a wooden chair. In that chair sat something. At first I thought it was a mannequin. It had the stiff, lifeless posture. The skin, if you could call it that, was pale, almost grayish-white. Its face was covered by what looked like a cracked porcelain mask, like something out of an old haunted doll collection. It wore a tattered black robe or gown, dirty and hanging loosely over its thin frame. I leaned in closer to the screen, trying to figure out what I was seeing. The image flickered now and then like old VHS tape static. Then, out of nowhere, without a single warning, the figure shot up from the chair. It didn't move like a person. It jerked upright, almost like a puppet on strings, then sprinted straight toward the camera. A loud, high-pitched static scream blasted through my speakers, and for a second, the porcelain mask was so close to the camera that it filled the whole screen. Then the screen went black. My heart nearly exploded. I yanked off my headphones and just stared at my laptop. The stream was gone. All that was left was the text box at the bottom of the page. I tried to type, but nothing happened. The cursor didn't move. Then the browser closed itself. No error message, no freeze. It just vanished. That's when I heard it. A voice. coming from my speakers. Deep, raspy, distorted, like someone speaking through a voice changer. It said my name, not my username, my real name. Then it said, "We have your files." I froze. A second later, my webcam light turned on. My own face popped up on the screen. I was staring right at myself. I slammed my laptop shut and nearly threw it across the room. My hands were shaking. The next morning, I took it to this local computer repair shop run by a guy named Joe. He was in his 40s, super chill. The kind of guy who says buddy a lot and always smells like coffee and WD-40. I told him I thought I might have gotten hacked. He asked what I'd been doing, and I gave him a vague answer like, clicking weird links. He chuckled, but when he checked my system, his face changed. "Whoever it was," he said, "they got access to your account name and probably some basic system info. But it doesn't look like they left any deep traces. You might have just spooked yourself. We did a full factory reset, wiped everything clean. I didn't really care. I didn't have any important stuff on there yet. The laptop was new, a gift from my aunt. That night I couldn't sleep. Every time I closed my eyes, I saw that mask. You'd think that would have been the end of it, right? But about 3 weeks later, something else happened. I was on Reddit late at night, just scrolling through conspiracy threads and ghost stories, and I saw I had a new message. Request. The account that messaged me had been deleted already, but the message was still there. It said, "Check your spam folder." That was it. I thought it was just a troll. But something about it made my stomach twist. I opened my Gmail and checked the spam folder. One email stood out. The subject line was in all caps, "I know who you are." The message inside listed everything. My full name, my address, my high school, my job, my mom's name, and at the bottom it said, "We're still watching. Stay curious." That's when I stopped messing with that side of the internet completely. I deleted everything, wiped my drive again, got a new laptop. I even moved out of Maple Hollow a few months later. Not just because of this, but let's just say I was ready for a fresh start. To this day, I still don't know who was behind that chat room, or what I actually saw in that video. But I'll tell you this. If you ever get curious and decide to explore the dark corners of the internet, be careful what doors you open. Some of them might open back. Let me tell you a story that still gives me chills even now. My name's Casey. I'm 24, and I live alone in a small apartment in a quiet little town called Pine Brook. Nothing big ever really happens here. We've got a diner, a grocery store, and a lot of trees. You'd think it's the perfect place to feel safe. That's what I thought too, until everything changed one night. It all started with an email. Not just any email. It came out of nowhere, late one evening while I was lying on the couch, watching TV and scrolling Reddit on my laptop. I was half asleep when I heard the ping. New message. The subject line made my stomach twist. "We know where you live." My first instinct? Spam. A joke. But then I opened it. Inside was my Reddit username, my actual password, and even worse, my full home address. Just reading it made my blood run cold. The message said if I didn't send $5,000 in Bitcoin to a wallet address they listed, they would expose everything. I had no idea what everything meant, but the threat didn't stop there. They said they were watching me, that they'd been recording me, and the scariest part? They included a photo of my apartment building from the outside. That was the moment my heart dropped into my stomach. I remember just sitting there frozen, staring at the screen, like my brain couldn't catch up to what I was reading. I had this sinking, horrible feeling like someone was behind me, watching. The first thing I did was grab a piece of tape and cover my webcam. I didn't care if it was silly. It made me feel just a little safer. Then I jumped back onto Reddit to message the account that had sent me the threats. Nothing. They hadn't responded. Their account had already been deleted. I reported it, but deep down I knew it wouldn't do anything. This wasn't some bored teenager trolling strangers online. This felt personal. I replied to the email, asking who they were and how they got my info. I even asked if it was a joke, begging really because that would have been the best case scenario. 5 minutes later, I got a reply. All caps, "This is not a joke. We know everything. Do what you're told or things will get worse." I felt sick. I ran around the apartment, shutting all the blinds. Every window suddenly felt like a spotlight. I called every friend I had, asking, pleading, if this was some elaborate prank. One by one, they told me no. I even threatened to call the police, hoping someone would crack. But no one did. And honestly, their voices didn't sound like they were hiding anything. They sounded scared for me. I didn't have enemies. I got along with people at work. I kept to myself online. So how did someone know so much about me? The only thing I could think of was that maybe I clicked something I shouldn't have. A sketchy link, maybe. Or downloaded a file that let someone spy on me. Malware. Spyware. Whatever you want to call it. I didn't sleep that night. I just sat in the dark, phone in one hand, a kitchen knife in the other, waiting for something to happen. Nothing did. The next morning, I left my laptop off and used my desktop instead. I didn't log into Reddit. I didn't check my email. I changed every password on every app on my phone just in case. I avoided the laptop like it was cursed. But that night, I gave in. I was bored, tired, curious, and honestly, I just wanted to feel normal again. So I turned it on. Everything looked fine at first. I breathed a little easier. Maybe they'd given up. Then I noticed something weird. The taskbar at the bottom of the screen, it looked darker. Not by much, just enough to make me look twice. I minimized everything and my blood ran cold. My desktop wallpaper was different. It wasn't just a new background. It was a photo, a real photo, of me, sleeping. You know that moment when your brain refuses to believe what you're seeing? That was me. I just sat there trying to process it. The photo was taken from outside my bedroom window. You could see the white frame of the window in the shot. I was lying in bed, facing the wall, completely unaware. The worst part? The flash from the camera reflected off the glass. They had been right there outside my window. Then, just as I started to move, a pop-up appeared on the screen. It made the classic Windows error sound, like a ding, but way too loud in the silence. The pop-up said just one word: pay. I slammed the laptop shut so hard it echoed. Then I yanked the power cord out of the wall. My hands were shaking. I called my parents, barely able to explain what was happening through the panic. My dad showed up 20 minutes later in his old pickup truck, not even fully dressed. We loaded up everything valuable I owned, my laptop, phone, documents, hard drives. We didn't say much, but I could tell he was angry and scared at the same time. As we were pulling away, he stepped out of the truck and shouted into the night, yelling threats at the darkness like he could scare it away. I didn't even feel embarrassed. I just wanted to leave. I stayed at my parents' house for a few weeks, used my mom's computer, avoided anything connected to the internet if I could help it. I blocked the email address, deleted Reddit, and got rid of everything I thought could be used to track me. But even now, back in my apartment, I still feel it. That heaviness in the air. That sense that something's watching me. I haven't gone to the police. I don't know why. Maybe part of me is still hoping it was a bluff. Just a really, really twisted way to scare me into paying. But then I remember that photo, and I can't shake the feeling that this isn't over. A second story. Miranda's click. Let me tell you about my friend Miranda. She's 25, lives about 30 minutes from me in a tiny town called Elmridge. She's had some bad luck with creeps in the past. Dudes sliding into her DMs, random friend requests, weird messages. The usual, right? But this was different. One afternoon, she got an email that said she was being sued by a company she'd never heard of. There was a link to read more. She clicked it without thinking. At first, nothing happened. Then her computer started acting weird, really weird. It lagged, froze. Random sounds started playing, like soft whispers. At first, she thought maybe a video was running in the background, but no tabs were open. That night, things got worse. She started getting texts from friends. "What's up with that Instagram post? Are you okay? Did you mean to share that?" Confused, she tried logging into Instagram. She was logged out. When she finally got back in, her jaw dropped. Someone had posted a picture to her feed. It was a photo of her, taken from her bedroom doorway. She lives alone. She deleted the post and locked all her accounts. She even bought a new phone, thinking maybe that would help. But then, weird things started happening in her apartment. Drawers left open, lights she didn't remember turning on. A glass shattered in the sink one morning, even though she hadn't used one. One night, while she was brushing her teeth, the mirror started fogging up, even though the bathroom fan was on. And in the fog, she swears she saw a handprint. She doesn't live there anymore. There's this strange kind of silence that only happens late at night in towns like Graybridge. Too quiet, like the world is holding its breath. That's the kind of silence I remember the night everything spiraled out of control. I was in my room scrolling through FeedSnap, basically a mix between Instagram and TikTok, when I noticed something weird. My profile picture had changed. Not just that, but there was a post up. Something stupid. A cartoonish meme of a wide-eyed raccoon dancing with a knife. The caption? "This is me now. I hadn't posted it." I hadn't posted anything. My stomach dropped. For a second, I thought maybe my brother was messing with me, but he was out of town. Then I saw the comments. People were tagging me, laughing, asking what was going on. I tried to log in, but I was locked out. Whoever it was had changed my password. I sat frozen, heart racing. Then came the buzz, Snap Talk, our town's favorite way to talk when we weren't supposed to be talking, lit up. A new user had added me. No profile pic, no name, just a string of random letters and numbers. They were spamming me, call me, call me, call me. I didn't know what else to do, so I hit the video call button. The screen lit up. It was dark, blurry. I could only see a corner of someone's face, just a cheek, a bit of a smirk, part of one eye. He looked young, maybe 20-something. But the smile was wrong. Too wide, too still. Like it was being held in place with invisible pins. Then he said it. "Hello." The way he drew it out made my skin crawl. I couldn't even answer right away. It felt like his voice was wrapping around me, sticky and slow. "What do you want?" I finally asked. "Give me my account back." He chuckled, soft and broken. "You're even prettier when you're scared." I wanted to hang up. Every part of me screamed to. But I stayed. I needed to get my account back. He leaned in closer, still only showing that small piece of his face. "I see you," he said, "every day. I know what time you leave for school. I know your room has fairy lights. I know your cat likes to sleep at the edge of your bed." My hand started to shake. "This was the only way I could get your attention," he whispered. "But I'll make you a deal. Be my digital girlfriend. Just online. That's all. And I'll give it back." I said yes, not because I wanted to, because I was scared out of my mind. He gave me the new password. I logged in and locked everything down. New password, 2-step authentication, private mode. I posted a story right away saying I'd been hacked. I thought that would be the end of it, but I wasn't that lucky. I asked him his name. He just said, "Call me Vance." That same smile hovered on the edge of the screen. "I can find out anything about you I want." I believed him. That night I couldn't sleep. Every creak in the house made me jump. I texted my friend Morgan everything. She told me to deactivate my account for a while, block him, and just vanish online. I followed her advice, and that's when it got worse. A new SnapTalk account started sending me messages an hour later. The profile picture was just black, like the screen had never loaded. The messages came fast. "Why did you block me?" "I told you not to. You think you're safe?" Then came the last message. I know where you live. I didn't wait. I ran to my parents' room and showed them everything. My dad was furious. He called the police while I sat in the kitchen feeling like I couldn't breathe. The silence in the room was too heavy. Not even the fridge was humming. Just the ticking of the old wall clock and the faint rustle of trees outside. My phone buzzed again. A new snap. I didn't want to open it, but I did. It was a video. Grainy. Shaky. It showed a car idling quietly in front of our house. The headlights were off. The caption said, "Don't block me again." I felt my throat close. My dad bolted out the front door, but the street was empty. The car was already gone. He must have filmed it, driven away, and then sent it. The cops showed up 20 minutes later. They looked at the messages, shrugged, and said, "Not much we can do about this sort of thing. Probably just a troll." My mom looked like she wanted to scream. I hadn't blocked him yet, and something told me not to. Instead, I sent him a snap of the police cruiser outside and added the caption, "Mess with me again and you'll be arrested." He opened it. A second later, I was blocked. That should have been the end. But it didn't feel like one. For weeks after that, I kept seeing things. A car that looked familiar following behind us on the way to school. A black hoodie disappearing around corners. My cat refusing to go near the window. And sometimes at night, my phone would light up for a second, just long enough to make me think I got a message, but when I checked, there was nothing there. Maybe it's over. Maybe Vance got scared off. But every now and then I'll look at my followers and see a strange name. No posts, no profile picture, just watching. Waiting. I used to think hackers were just people sitting in basements, bored and harmless. But there's a different kind of hacker, one that doesn't want your money or your data. They want you, so keep your accounts locked tight. Don't talk to strangers online. And if someone only shows you part of their face on camera, hang up.